Okay, James, let's start with the basics. Now that this court order has been issued, which tariffs are blocked and which are still in effect?
That is a great question because there are many tariffs that are flying around nowadays. So, this court order applies specifically to one batch of tariffs. They're commonly referred to as reciprocal tariffs. And then there's another sort of related group that are commonly referred to as the fentanyl tariffs, or what the court called the trafficking tariffs. So the first of these, the reciprocal ones, are familiar to Taiwan. They're the ones that are sort of applicable globally. They were the ones that are originally set at 32% for Taiwan and then dialed back to 10% for a pause period.
Right, these are the tariffs that were announced on so-called Liberation Day when Trump came out with the sign with the list of countries and their tariff amount, right?
Exactly. Right. So those are the ones that everyone around the world is interested in. The other ones are a more narrow subset. They affect specifically the People's Republic of China, Canada, and Mexico. And they were put in place actually very early in the Trump administration, even before quote unquote Liberation Day. But the reason they're affected as well is because both of those were implemented under the same statutory authority, which is what the CIT, the U.S. Court of International Trade, has looked at and said it doesn't allow you to do this.
Let's talk about Taiwan specifically. You mentioned that the 32% tariff on Taiwanese imports has been blocked. The 10% tariff that applied to every country in the world, including Taiwan, has been blocked. But what about the proposed semiconductor tariffs? These obviously would affect Taiwan's biggest industry. It sounds like Taiwan could still be facing those.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. That investigation is under Section 232. That is remains pending. And when the investigation was started off, you had Trump administration officials projecting a very aggressive timeline for putting those into effect. So those may be coming sooner rather than later, and they are very much still in play.
The Trump administration says that they will appeal this ruling. Will the tariffs be in effect during that appeal process?
In practical terms, the court said, okay, you've exceeded your statutory authority. These tariffs are vacated, they're null and void. But they also have to recognize practical reality. And so they've provided the government with 10 calendar days. The government has already filed its appeal. That appeal is already docketed, which suggests to those of us in the trade bar that they are working furiously right now to prepare their emergency motion to stay the effect of the Court of International Trade's order. So it may or may not see sort of practical implementation, but if it does, it will probably be a few days away.
So, with so much still up in the air, it sounds like the kind of certainty that businesses have been hoping for in terms of planning around tariffs over the long term isn't coming in the near future.
Unfortunately, that's pretty much where things stand.